everyone. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite pieces of artwork, the Pieta. Pieta stands for pity or compassion. This was one of those pieces that actually gave Michelangelo his name because this was a very early piece of his. It's a marble sculpture that was created by Michelangelo between 1490 and 1500. So we are definitely in the Italian Renaissance. It's currently in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican in Rome. And so I was blessed enough to actually see it in person in 2015, and it was incredible. There was a lot of people in front of me, and I couldn't really get super duper close because there's like a bulletproof glass in front of it, which rightfully so, because there's a crazy dude that knocked off Mary's arm and her nose. But nonetheless, I was able to see it, and it was quite moving in person. The scene that we're seeing is right after Jesus' crucifixion. Mary is holding the deceased body of the Christ. And what's really interesting is, first of all, her upper body seems to be in proportion, while her lower body seems to be enlarged. So you can see that she has a lot of drapery, and so that is to kind of hold the weight of her son. And what was so beautifully done by Michelangelo is how he was able to make the marble look like skin. And so you can kind of see where Mary is holding Jesus, her hand is lifting up his skin so that it looks like the full weight of his body is on her. And her other hand, the one that got knocked off by the lunatic dude, that sort of represents her ushering in the viewer and saying that this is what redemption looks like. So if you're familiar with the crucifixion or the crucifixion story, you know that Jesus's body was not only exsanguinated, but also tortured in a very vile and heinous way. But here we see Jesus with minimal marks. He has a tiny nail mark in his hand. And so this seems to represent that he was the perfect martyr, that he is still divine. And so Michelangelo wanted to give visual representation to his divinity. So since this is my favorite piece of artwork, I kind of wanted to talk about the emotional aspect of this piece of artwork. I can't really talk to you about art when all you hear is like slopping in the background from Judge eating his food. Like maybe he's done. Nope. He was standing up eating and now he's sitting down. So I think he's here for a sit down dinner. Oh no, he's got a whole half of a bowl left. He has stomatitis, so he has more drool than usual. Oh god, okay. I just got so nauseous. It's one thing to have a dog that drools, but it's another thing to have a cat that, whoa. I'll come back to you. Okay, the cat has officially stopped slopping, so we can continue on our journey. So there's two different ways that you could see this beautiful piece. Number one is you can see Mary, the Virgin Mary, the Madonna, holding the Christ. And so this is a beautiful and holy scene. And what is interesting about this scene is it's very intermediate. It's after the death, but before the resurrection. And so Jesus will soon be alive, even after this. Mary's face doesn't really give you the sense that she's in despair or she's in agony. And it's almost like she knows there is something else coming. So it seems like me as the viewer, I want to look at Mary and say, hey, he's not going to be dead very long. He will be alive again soon. But on the other hand, there's a very deep sadness to this piece, because if you take away all of the divine aspects, you're left with a mother holding her son's body. So that's what really hurts the most about this sculpture, is that this tragedy of loss, it happens every day. And so for the sculptor to remind us of that, it stings. But at the same time, it's a gentle reminder that this death phase is only intermediate. And just as the viewer looks at Mary and says, don't worry, he will become alive again, we too, by belief in the Christ, can say, he will be alive again. So it's a visual representation of triumph through despair. So I realize that most of us, modern day, we get our motivation and inspiration from music, from TV shows, from motivational speakers. But for me personally, there's no better inspiration and motivation than the story of the Christ and his rising. And so whenever I see the Pieta, I think about the Christ and I think about his rising. And I think about the fact that we are also promised a bodily resurrection. So without further ado, like, subscribe, comment. Don't like, don't subscribe, don't comment. Be true to yourself. Later.